This is the Louie T Network. Hey, either you're outside or you're
in the lab room.
Doug Marrone out, Rex Ryan in. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to a special In the Lab Room edition of Coaching Search. The Buffalo Bills have found the 18th head coach in franchise history, and his name is Rex Ryan. Love the guy. I absolutely love Rex Ryan. You know how I feel about him. I feel disappointed that it did not work out for him in New York as the Jets head coach. He ran out of time, didn't win enough football games, didn't have stable enough play at the quarterback position. All of those things rang true for him in New York, and it did not work out for him in the Big Apple. However, this time may be different for Rex. We'll see. Only time will be able to tell. One thing is for certain, he is not lacking in confidence. Same thing he did when he was introduced as Jets head coach in New York. Same thing he did here with Buffalo. Came in with a lot of bravado and a lot of brashness. Came in and basically said, hey, I'm here to win. We're going to get the job done. And he said all of the things you expect from Rex Ryan. He's never been one to mince words. He's never been one to, not say how he felt. He's a guy that's going to give you everything he's got, and he wears his emotions on his sleeve. And I think that's why the players love him. I think that's why coaches around the league respect him. And I think that's why someone like myself is endeared to him so much, because he's unfiltered and he's candid. He tells you exactly how he feels at the time that he feels that way. Is it wrong? Is it right? That's up for debate. But again, you're getting raw emotion, and I love raw emotion out of people because that's what makes us human. When you're a robot, when you're Bill Belichick and you go up there and you're monotone and you don't speak with any emotion, you are what you are. I mean, does it make him any less of a head coach and just says that's what his personality is? He does a great job of compartmentalizing. Rex Ryan, on the other hand, doesn't do as great a job, but still very entertaining nonetheless. But let's talk about this hire for a second. Let's backtrack a little bit and go back to the point to where this Bills team actually needed a head coach. And the reason they were in search of a head coach was because one Doug Marrone decided that he no longer wanted to be the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. When he signed his deal just a mere 2 years ago, he made sure that there was a clause in his contract that stated if Bills ownership were to change, which we knew at the time was up in the air, if ownership were to change, and it has since then, he would be at liberty to opt out of his contract, still be paid, and be able to find work elsewhere, which is what Doug Marrone opted to do after this season came to its conclusion. So, and it was funny because it didn't happen on Black Monday. It didn't even happen on that Tuesday. I think it was Wednesday when Doug Marrone decided, you know what? I think I'm going to find me some work elsewhere. And what he basically did was he played a high-stakes game of poker, is what Doug Marrone did. He looked at his hand, and his hand said, man, 9-7 in Buffalo. No quarterback from which to really speak of here that I see as a franchise guy. Really good defense, though. New England Patriots still going to be good for a couple more years. Ownership change. I could be out if I don't have another good season. New GM possibly on the horizon. Maybe we don't win. Me being here past another 2 seasons, highly unlikely. Especially if I don't get the job done. No Kyle Orton now. He decided to retire. I'm gonna call the rest of the league's bluff. I'm gonna go ahead, opt out of this deal with the Bills. And what he was banking on, I think, is he was banking on getting that Jets job. I think he looked over at the Jets and said, you know what? I think I got a shot at the Jets job. If I leave this job now, think I can go get a job with the Jets. Start fresh, brand new slate. I'm not married to any quarterback. If Geno Smith makes a mess, if Michael Vick makes a mess, it's not my mess. I get to start all over again. Fresh, blank slate, pick my own quarterback again. This time I won't miss. Maybe it'll be different next time. Maybe if I get one more chance, I'll be better. So he says, you know what? Even though my hand isn't as good, I like it. I'm going to push my chips to the middle of the table. Double or nothing. Push this chips to the middle. Call the league's bluff. Buffalo said, okay, fine. I mean, hey, that's what you want to do. You know, fine. Do your thing. So Doug Marrone moves on. And this was a high-stakes game of poker. He overestimated his hand. And what he did was he went out, interviewed with the Jets. Jets said, yeah, you're okay. You're really not what we're looking for, though. He went from head coach to offensive line coach in Jacksonville. Ouch. Normally, the next step down from head coach is coordinator. He had to take an extra step down. So, yeah, he really overestimated his hand. He pushed his chips to the middle of the table and lost. Now he's an offensive line coach. Good luck with that. Maybe he'll get another shot in the future. But for you Bills fans out there, that's not your problem. He quit on you so you could care less about the shortcomings of one Douglas Marrone moving forward. So that left you in a bind. What to do, what to do, what to do. So you look around out there and you see, hey, Rex Ryan's out there. Let's talk to that guy. We've seen him twice a year for the last, 7 years or so? Let's bring him in here and talk to him. And the one word that you kept hearing from Bills ownership and Bills management was loyalty. They felt like they had been betrayed by Doug Marrone, and him leaving and abruptly, literally, once Kyle Orton said, I don't want to play anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Doug Marrone said, wow, that's put me in a really bad position. I don't really like E.J. Manuel. I damn sure can't put Jeff Toole out there. There's no quarterbacks in the draft worth drafting where we'll be at with a 9-7 mark. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. First train out of here, I'm hopping on it. And so the Bills were really left at the altar. So they were looking for someone who was going to be loyal. Someone that was going to be there through thick and thin. No matter how good or how bad it's going to be in Buffalo, you can count on this guy to remain the face of the franchise and represent this team as if they're the best in the league. No one does that better than Rex Ryan. We saw that last year. I mean, last year was a great example of how you handle a bad season and still get your team prepared to play every week as if they're the best in the league. No one gets their team ready to play despite having a bad record, despite all of the naysayers. No one can get his team to perform better despite the odds than Rex Ryan. I think Rex Ryan does a great job of painting the picture of us against the world. He also does a great job of instilling confidence in his football team. We're the best. We're better than the opposition. Let's go out and show it. Nobody's giving us the respect we deserve. They're not going to give it to us. Let's take it from them. He does a great job of motivating. That's why the players absolutely love this guy. And he's definitely a player's coach. And more importantly, he is loyal. Sometimes to a fault. I talked about that last year with the whole Geno Smith situation. Even Bart Scott on CBS's telecast said, hey, Rex Ryan, you know, Bart Scott played for Rex Ryan for a number of years. That went back to the Baltimore days when he was a defensive coordinator. He said Rex is a loyal guy. He's not going to bench Geno Smith until he absolutely has to. And that's exactly what happened, and that's why the Jets got off to such a porous start. Maybe if he would have started Michael Vick sooner, maybe they would have won some games sooner, maybe the season would have been a bit different. But Rex Ryan is a loyal guy, and so that's what the Bills were looking for. Not to mention a damn good head coach. And so you're getting a lot of things, a lot of the qualities that Bills ownership was looking for at the time. Mainly a guy that you could trust despite anything that may happen in Buffalo over the next 3 or 4 years, you can trust this guy to stand up and be the face and pulse of this franchise and never waver in his support for the rest of this organization and the guys in the locker room. That being said, how do I feel about this hire? I'm a little lukewarm. Here's why. I'm lukewarm because your defense was already good. What is Rex Ryan known for? What did he do well? Probably better than anyone else for the last 7 years in New York with the Jets. Coach up the defense. Well, last time I checked, Bills did not have a defensive problem. This Bills team, one of the best on the defensive side of the football last year. So, I look at this Bills team, I look at their deficiencies, and I say to myself, you needed an offensive-minded head coach. Jim Schwartz was already getting it done on the defensive side of football. You didn't need another defensive guy to come in here. And you knew that when Rex came in, he was going to kick Jim Schwartz to the curb. Get out of here. I don't need you. I'm running the show on the defensive side of football. I'm bringing in my guys. So Jim Schwartz, bye-bye, dismissed. So now you're changing the defense. Question, are you going to remain a 4-3 team? This team is built to be a 4-3 team. Rex Ryan has always been a multiple defensive front guy, but his base defense has always been the 3-4. So question now becomes, does he try to transform this Bills team into a 3-4 team? I don't know. He may have already answered that. Haven't heard anything myself. He may have already answered that question, but this team is built to be a 4-3 defensive front. He may come in and say, we're going to turn this into a 3-4. You have some pieces that can do that, but again, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So now the question begs, how much is he going to tinker with this defense that was already damn good? And yes, this defense is still going to be good no matter what he decides to do. The question then becomes, what are you doing on the offensive side of football? Same question you had last year. Who's your quarterback? None of these questions have been answered. And with Rex Ryan as your head coach, these questions still aren't answered because he's going to come in and maybe improve upon the defense. And he said that in the press conference. His defense was ranked 5th last year. He wants it to be 1st. Sure. Awesome. That's great. But you still need this offense to be better. Can Rex Ryan improve this offense? That was his shortcoming in New York with the Jets. The offense never caught up to the defense. Even the years when they went to the AFC Championship game, the offense was still 3 steps behind the defense. It just so happens that they had dominant run games in those seasons when they were able to make it to the AFC Championship game. So, I don't know if Rex Ryan fits exactly what the Bills need in terms of their deficiencies. But I do know this. You're getting a damn good head coach, a great motivator, and a guy that, as your ownership said, is going to be loyal, if nothing else. Even if it, at times, is to a fault. He's going to be loyal. Who's he bringing in? Right now, his offensive coordinator going to be Greg Roman, ex-49ers offensive coordinator. So right there, you see what Rex Ryan is trying to do. He's bringing in a guy that had experience with a mobile quarterback in Colin Kaepernick and going to see if Greg Roman can come in and maybe clean up E.J. Manuel. I think that is where he wants to start, right there. See if you can't get E.J. Manuel to be a little bit more comfortable and figure out some things in this league. And maybe even put in some spread looks. Maybe put in a couple of read option things and do some, because Rex likes to run the football. Be dynamic on the ground. That way you don't turn it over as much and you still play conservative enough to give the defense a chance to win you some ball games. So he's bringing in a guy that has had a quarterback over the last couple of years that has legs, that can move, can get him out of the pocket, can do some things outside the pocket, but more importantly, helps you in the running game. Let's see if E.J. Manuel can't do a little bit of those things in this offense. You look at his defensive coordinator. Talked about Jim Schwartz being out. He brings in his right-hand man from New York in Dennis Thurman. He was the defensive coordinator with the Jets. And so he's the guy that comes in. He was a defensive backs coach for Rex as well. He's coming in to be the defensive coordinator, which he's basically an extension of Rex at defensive coordinator. And finally, a couple of other hires that have been made thus far. And you start with the offensive line coach. And you got Aaron Cromer coming over from Chicago, and he had some issues last year. There was a big problem with him talking to the media about Jay Cutler and him changing plays, and that turned out to be a meteor firestorm in Chicago. But he's still regarded as one of the better offensive line coaches in the National Football League. So he'll get an opportunity to come in here and see if he can't help this Bills team turn it up rushing the football. I thought the Bills did a good job running the football last year. They want to do an even better job. Eric Cromer looking to come in and change the fortunes of this Bills offense on the ground through the offensive line. And also, quarterbacks coach. And I think this is important as well because Rex Ryan brings in David Lee. Now, if you're a Bills fan, you may have heard this name before. He's been in Buffalo before. In 2012, he was under Chan Gailey for 1 year, and then when Gailey got fired, so did David Lee, so he's back in Buffalo for his second stint. This is a guy that's been coaching quarterbacks and offenses for over 40 years. He's been around football his entire life, and a good majority of his time has been spent just coaching quarterbacks, just specifically coaching quarterbacks. He was in the NFL with the Dolphins, and he won an award for being one of the most innovative coaches in 2008. He was the one who helped bring the Wildcat to the NFL when the Dolphins, bursted onto the NFL landscape, beat the Patriots, and did a lot of things in that season. He was one of the guys spearheading that attack as their quarterbacks coach in Miami, and so that's what you're getting here. So you can already see what Rex is doing, bringing in guys that have a background with mobile quarterbacks, that have a background in gimmicky offenses, that can do some things, move some guys around, and not just have the quarterback under center, dropping back and getting the football out. This is a couple of guys in Roman and now David Lee who have experience in offenses that feature dual threat quarterbacks that can run it, that can pass it, and have some multiple looks in different formations, whether it's a wildcat, whether it's a spread, whether it's read option. You're going to see a number of different things from the Bills. With dynamic weapons like Sammy Watkins, you want to be able to get him the football in multiple ways, whether it's a jet sweep, have him line up in the backfield, catch a pass, run it out of the backfield. You've got C.J. Spiller. You've got Fred Jackson. He's getting up there in age. You saw Boobie Dixon play good football for you last year. There are guys on this team that can make plays. Just got to find creative and innovative ways to give them the football. You bring in guys like Greg Roman and David Lee to try to help you manipulate defenses and get the football into playmakers' hands. We'll see if those guys can have a positive effect on E.J. Manuel, because right now you don't have a lot of choices in Buffalo at the quarterback position. Don't look to the draft for anybody to save you this year. Don't look to free agency because there's not a lot out there either. You're going to have to make do with what you have most likely at the quarterback position. Expect to make a move, whether free agency or the draft or both, but don't expect either of those to reap you dividends right away. E.J. Manuel might have to be your option come 2015, but that's going to do it for the Buffalo Bills. They went out and got Rex Ryan, and they're looking for him to continue to build on what the last regime had going defensively. He's going to have this defense playing good football. We know that. Great football even. But the question remains, can he get the Bills offensively to score points and remain competitive in a very tough AFC East division with the Dolphins and, of course, the alpha male in that division, the New England Patriots? One thing we know for sure, Rex Ryan will be loyal. That's going to do it for me here in the lab room. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down all of the coaching moves in the National Football League. See? Bet.